Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here, I'm Kathryn, the Aerogarden Homesteader, and today, another update. They are looking really good. So I just went through and harvested a whole bunch of tomatoes. I have one that kind of fell off and it's not quite fully ripe, so it's just going to sit there until it ripens. But it's hard to tell that I took a whole bunch off, other than, you know, there's a few empty nodes back there. But got what looks like some new growth here. That looks like new growth. I do think I need to give it a little bit more food. I am starting to get a few more crunchy leaves here and there, so I do want to make sure that I am giving it enough food to support its growth. I don't know if I can get underneath. So it looks pretty good underneath. Try to not jump around too much, but yeah, there we go. That's what the stem looks like, so it looks really good. So I'm really pleased with how this is turning out. I will obviously let this keep going until it starts to look really bad, or it stops pushing out new growth, or stops supporting tomatoes, whichever happens first kind of thing. But right now it still has a good number of tomatoes on. Like I said, I will have to give it more food next time because I think it is capable of pushing out more flowers, but it just hasn't done that yet. So I don't know if it just needs more food or, you know, something else is going on. And then over here we have the... I can never remember what this one is. It's not the Serrano. It's not the jalapeno. It's the habanero. Okay, so now that we've established that I can never remember what this is, it's got lots of little flower nodes in here coming up. It's really compact and bushy. I don't know if you can tell that I took off a whole bunch of leaves. It's just pushing out so much growth all over the place. And it's got like a really nice thick stem down there with so much growth around it. So I will probably have to increase the food a little bit just to help support this growth, but I think it's currently at 15, which I think the tomato is at as well. Oh no, this is at 10. The tomato is at 15 and the pepper was at 10 because it was still young. So I might need to bump this one up to 15 and possibly put the tomato up to 20 milliliters of food. So but it looks really good, and so far it's just really healthy and strong right now. So I'm really happy with how this is doing. This is the tomato from the Back to the Roots garden, and it is also doing really well. It is just so funny how vastly different the growth pattern is between these two tomato plants. And I have no idea if they're different varieties. I just should have paid more attention to what I was doing. But it's got a really bulky stem that is almost the same diameter as the opening of the pot. So that's going to be fun, but it does look like it's got a little bit of, let me see, can I focus in on right here? There's a little bit of new growth right there. It's a little hard to see. There's a little bit up here. That's a little bit more new growth. And then there's some flowers in the back and just some new tomatoes forming. Now, unfortunately, we brought in a plant from a nursery which had some spider mites, and even though we treated it, it's not doing well. So this might have spider mites. I'm going to have to try treating it to see if we can keep them at bay, but unfortunately, it seems like once spider mites get in, it's just a take it down and just start over again, so that might be what we do. But here's some more new growth in there, too. Looks really good. So we did go through and harvest a bunch of tomatoes from it, so it just has a few here and a few here, and then some flowers that are kind of up there in the back. Before I show you how the peppers are doing indoors, I wanted to show you just the size difference of how the peppers outdoors are doing compared to how the ones indoors in the Aerogardens are doing. There is a vast size difference, and these ones have been in the garden established a lot longer. And over here I have, this is a jalapeno, this is an Anaheim. They're just, oh, this one's even smaller. Oh, you can see that tiny little thing. They just are not doing very well for me out in the garden, and I'm really not sure why. I mean, I put down some food, you know, they get lots of water. They just do poorly for me. There's another jalapeno over here that's slightly better than some, but worse than most. And finally, here are the jalapenos. These ones I have no problems remembering the names of. It's just that habanero. So, there are some open flowers. I have been coming through, and if I can't tap the flower itself, I just try to jiggle the branch a little bit. There are some flowers all over. This one is not quite as loaded as this one. The one on the right definitely had a lot more growth. It had a bit of a head start, honestly. So there are some jalapenos. I hope they're jalapenos. I certainly hope that my seeds did not get all mixed up with something else. And I don't know if you guys remember jalapenogate from a few years back. Was that last year? Oh my gosh. So I've got lots of flowers. I just go through and tap them if I can. So this plant has had a prune, and I gave a little bit of a prune to the one beside it, so took off one leaf here, and that helped sort of open up the area a little bit. So obviously there are more leaves that can come off. There's this big huge one back here that, you know, it can come off. It's just really big and taking up a lot of space. This one on the right, I have done a fairly decent job of pruning it. So there's some growth on the bottom that is starting to bush out. Now this one received 15 ml of food last time. I do think it actually needs 20, and I should probably have given it 20, but yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I will give it 20 from now on. And the tomato that is in the back to the roots, that I think only got 10 last time. So it was 10 for that, and I remember giving this one 15. So I will probably up the food for most things a little bit just to make sure that they're getting enough food. But right now everything looks pretty good except for that first tomato I was showing you, which has a little bit of sort of browning on the leaves. But you know, that's kind of my fault. I should have given it a bit more food, and I wasn't really thinking it through because it looked so good at the time. So that's kind of the problem with the food, is a lot of it is sort of after the fact. You notice things are not looking quite as good after, and then you're like, oh, I should have put the food up, but you just don't know ahead of time when to put the food up. So I will be putting the food up probably on most of them in this next feed that's coming up, and yeah, that's probably about next week. It'll be next week that I will be giving it food again. So that'll just help with everything, I think, and hopefully we'll see some nice growth spurts and everything, and the ability to support more fruit. So I hope you found this video useful. Thank you so much for joining me. I will have some videos up at the end that you might enjoy, and I will see you next time on the Aerogarden Homestead.